why everything is expensive. And it's not your fault. Have you noticed something strange? You earn money, you spend money, yet somehow nothing is ever left. Food prices rise, transport costs increase, rent becomes impossible. And everyone keeps saying the same thing. Work harder, get another job, try harder. But what if the problem is not you? What if the problem is the economic system you are living in? Today we are going to explain, slowly, clearly and honestly, why everything feels expensive, why your money doesn't go far anymore, and why millions of people around the world are struggling at the same time. This is not motivation. This is economics. And once you understand it, you will stop blaming yourself. Think about your daily life for a moment. You wake up, go to work, collect your paycheck, pay your bills, buy groceries, and by the end of the month, there's nothing left. Maybe you even go into debt. And you ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? The answer might surprise you, probably nothing. The game itself has changed. The rules of money have shifted beneath your feet and nobody told you. Your parents played a different game with different rules. You're playing a new game with an old playbook. And that's why it feels impossible. The illusion of money. Let's start with a simple truth that changes everything once you understand it. Money does not mean wealth. Money only represents value. If you earn $100 today, what matters is not the number on the bill or in your bank account. What matters is what that $100 can buy. Think back just 10 or 15 years. That same amount could cover food for a week, rent for a portion of the month, transport, and maybe even leave something for savings. Today, it barely survives halfway through the month. Some families spend that much on groceries in just a few days. So here's the question. Did you suddenly become careless with the money? Did you lose your ability to budget? Did you become financially irresponsible overnight? No. Your money lost value. This phenomenon has a name. It's called inflation. Inflation means prices rise over time, while the value of money quietly falls. And here's the dangerous part that catches most people off guard. Inflation happens slowly. It creeps up month by month, year by year. So most people don't notice it until life becomes unbearable. Imagine a frog in a pot of water. If you throw the frog into boiling water, it jumps out immediately. But if you put the frog in cool water and slowly heat it up, the frog doesn't notice the danger until it's too late. That's inflation. The water is getting hotter. Your purchasing power is being boiled away. But because it happens gradually, you assume the problem is you. Let me give you a real example. In the year 2000, the average price of a gallon of milk in many countries was around $1.50. Today, that same gallon costs $4 or more. Same milk, same gallon, different value of money. Your parents could fill a shopping cart for $50. Today, that same cart costs $120. The cart didn't get bigger. The food didn't get fancier. The money just got weaker. And here's what makes this truly insidious. While prices are rising, you're being told the economy is doing fine. You're told unemployment is low, growth is happening, everything is stable. But your lived experience tells you something completely different. You feel poorer. You are poorer. And the gap between official statistics and your reality creates a deep sense of confusion and self-doubt. Part 2. Why prices rise but salaries don't. 4.5 minutes. Now let's talk about the other side of this equation, salaries. Most people earn fixed income. That means your salary stays the same for months, sometimes years. Maybe you get a small raise every now and then, but it's rare and usually modest. But prices? Prices are not fixed. Fuel prices change every week. Food prices change every month. Electricity tariffs change. Water bills increase. Rent changes annually. Almost always upward. So while your income stays still like a parked car, expenses keep moving forward like a speeding train, and you're expected to somehow keep up. Imagine this scenario. Let's say you work hard, prove your value, and finally get a raise. Your salary increases by 5%. That sounds great on paper. You feel appreciated. You feel like you're making progress. But during that same year, inflation rises by 20%. On paper, you earn more. In reality, you are poorer. Let's do the math. If you earn $3,000 per month, a 5% raise gives you $3,150. But if everything around you became 20% more expensive, you need $3,600 just to maintain the same standard of living you had before. So even with a raise, you're falling behind by $450 every single month. This is why people feel stuck. They are not failing. They're simply trapped in a system where income grows slowly, but costs grow fast. And it gets worse, because salaries are negotiated based on what you earned before, not based on what you need to survive. Your new job asks about your previous salary. Your raise is calculated as a percentage of your current salary. Everything is backward-looking, but your expenses, those are forward-looking. Rent doesn't care what you earned last year. Groceries don't wait for your next raise. Bills don't negotiate. This creates a permanent gap, a gap that widens over time, a gap that no amount of hustle or budgeting can fully close. Let me share another painful truth. In the 1970s, a single income could support an entire family. One person could work, and that income could pay for a house, a car, food, healthcare, education for children, and even vacations. Today, two incomes often struggle to cover just the basics, not because people became lazy or financially irresponsible, but because the cost of living exploded while wages stagnated. Housing became a speculative asset instead of a basic need. Education turned into a profit center that leaves students in debt for decades. Healthcare costs spiraled out of control. Food supply chains became fragile and expensive. The economy changed fundamentally, but wages did not keep up. So people work longer hours, they take multiple jobs, they sacrifice time with family, health, sleep, and happiness, and still feel behind. This is not personal failure, this is economic pressure. This is a structural problem being blamed on individuals. Why life feels harder than before? Your parents lived in a different economy. Not a better economy in every way, but a structurally different one. Housing was cheaper relative to income. In many places, a house cost 3 to 4 times the average annual salary. Today, that same house costs 10 to 15 times the average salary. Education was affordable, sometimes even free. College degrees didn't require taking on mortgage-sized debt. People could work part-time jobs during summer and pay for tuition. Healthcare was manageable. A hospital visit didn't mean financial ruin. Medicine didn't cost hundreds of dollars per month. One income could support a family. A single breadwinner could provide stability, security, and even comfort. Today, two incomes still struggle. Not because people became less capable, but because the math changed. Let's look at what happened. Land became expensive because it's finite and populations grew. Cities expanded, speculation increased. Housing became an investment vehicle for the wealthy rather than just a place to live. Building materials skyrocketed due to supply chain disruptions, increased global demand, and consolidation in industries. A sheet of plywood that cost $10 now costs $40. Food supply chains became fragile. We built a just-in-time system that's efficient but brittle. One disruption, a pandemic, a war, a climate event, and prices spike immediately. Education transformed into a business. Universities compete not on affordability, but on amenities. They build luxury dorms, state-of-the-art gyms, and administrative empires, all funded by student tuition and loans. The economy changed at its foundation, but wages? Wages are still based on old assumptions about productivity, about what people need to survive, about what's fair. So people work longer hours than their parents did. They take multiple jobs. They sacrifice leisure, health, relationships. They delay having children, buying homes, retiring. And through it all, they hear the same message. Work harder, be smarter, hustle more. But hustle cannot fix a structural problem. Individual effort cannot overcome systemic dysfunction. This is why entire generations feel betrayed. They followed the rules. They went to school, got degrees, found jobs, worked hard, and the promised life. Security, stability, prosperity. Never materialized. Not because they failed, but because the promise itself was built on an economic foundation that no longer exists. The silent tax you never see. Here's something most people don't know, and it will change how you see everything. Inflation is a tax, but it's not announced and it's not voted on. It doesn't come with a letter in the mail or a line item on your pay stub. It quietly, invisibly, relentlessly reduces your purchasing power. Here's how it works. When governments need money, they have a few options. They can raise taxes, but that's politically unpopular. People notice when taxes go up. They complain, they vote differently. Or governments can borrow money by issuing bonds. That works for a while, but eventually those bonds need to be repaid with interest. Or, and this is the sneaky option, they can print more money. They increase the supply of money in the economy, and when supply increases but production doesn't, prices rise. It's simple economics. More money chasing the same amount of goods and services means each unit of money is worth less. And who pays for it? Not politicians, not central banks, not corporations with pricing power. You do, through higher prices. Every time you buy groceries and notice they cost more than last month. That's the inflation tax. Every time your rent increases. That's the inflation tax. Every time your savings lose purchasing power. That's the inflation tax. It's a hidden transfer of wealth. Inflation transfers wealth from savers to borrowers, from workers to asset owners, from the poor to the rich. Let me explain why. If you save money in a bank account earning 2% interest, but inflation is running at 8%, you're losing 6% of your purchasing power every year. Your savings are shrinking in real terms. But if you're a borrower, inflation helps you. If you took out a loan when money was worth more, you get to repay it with money that's worth less. Inflation reduces the real burden of debt. This is why governments love inflation. Most governments carry enormous debt. Inflation lets them repay that debt with cheaper currency. And who owns assets? Wealthy people, real estate, stocks, businesses. These assets tend to rise in price with inflation. So while your cash savings lose value, their asset portfolios grow. This is not a conspiracy. This is how the system works. It's documented. It's studied. Economists know this. But most regular people don't. So they blame themselves for feeling poor, when the truth is, the system is designed to quietly extract value from their labor and savings. Why saving money feels pointless. You were taught to save money. From childhood, the message was clear. Be responsible. Live below your means. Save for the future. That was good advice in a different era. Today, it's incomplete advice that leads to frustration. Here's the painful truth that financial education doesn't always tell you. Saving money without growth means losing money slowly. If inflation is higher than the interest your bank pays, your savings shrink in real value every year. Let's use real numbers. Imagine you save $10,000 in a savings account. The bank pays you 1% interest annually. Sounds safe, right? But inflation is running at 7%. That means the purchasing power of your $10,000 decreases by 6% every year. After 1 year, your account shows $10,100. But in real terms, in terms of what that money can actually buy, you have less than you started with. This is why people feel frustrated and confused. They do everything right. They budget carefully. They cut expenses. They save diligently. They follow all the conventional advice. Yet, life still gets harder. Because conventional advice was built for a different economic reality. A reality where inflation was low and stable. Where bank interest could actually preserve value. Where saving alone was enough. That reality no longer exists for most people. The system today rewards ownership, not just discipline. It rewards assets, not just savings. It rewards understanding how money actually works, not just following old rules. This doesn't mean saving is useless. You need savings for emergencies, for stability, for peace of mind. But it means saving alone is not enough. You need to understand the difference between saving currency and preserving value. So where does this leave you? This does not mean give up. This is not a message of hopelessness, and this is definitely not financial advice. I'm not qualified to give that, and you should always do your own research and consult professionals. But it does mean understand the game you're actually playing. For too long, people have been fighting the wrong battles. They blame themselves for not working hard enough, not saving enough, not being disciplined enough. But what if the problem isn't effort? What if the problem is understanding? Once you understand how money actually works, you stop asking the wrong questions. Instead of, why can't I save enough? You ask, how does money lose value? And how do I protect against that? Instead of, why am I falling behind? You ask, how do prices really work in this economy? Instead of, what's wrong with me? You ask, why does ownership matter more than income? These are better questions. Questions that lead to actual answers instead of self-blame. You are not lazy. Look at how hard you work. Look at how many hours you put in. Look at how much you sacrifice. You are not stupid. You're trying to navigate an incredibly complex system that even experts disagree about. You are not failing. You're living in an expensive economy with outdated financial rules. You're playing a new game with an old rulebook that nobody bothered to update for you. The good news, and yes, there is good news, is that economics is learnable. These concepts might seem complicated at first, but they're actually quite logical once someone explains them clearly. Money isn't magic. Inflation isn't random. Markets follow patterns. There are rules underneath the chaos. And on this channel, we break it down. Slowly, clearly, honestly. No jargon designed to confuse you, no gatekeeping, no pretending these ideas are too complex for regular people. Because they're not. These ideas affect your life every single day. You have every right to understand them. Understanding doesn't automatically solve everything, but it changes how you see your situation. It removes the burden of false guilt. It shows you where the actual problems are. And once you see the real problems, you can start looking for real solutions. Let me leave you with this thought. The economy you're living in was not designed with your prosperity in mind. It was designed to serve different interests, different goals, different people. That's not a judgment. It's just reality. But reality, once you understand it, gives you power. The power to make different choices, the power to ask better questions, the power to stop blaming yourself for systemic problems. You didn't create inflation. You didn't design the salary system. You didn't build an economy where housing became unaffordable and education became a debt trap. You were born into this system, and you're doing your best to survive in it. That's not failure. That's courage. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by bills, by prices, by the gap between what you earn and what life costs, remember this video. Remember that millions of people are experiencing exactly what you're experiencing, not because they're all failures, but because the system itself has fundamental problems. If this video helped you understand the world a little better, if it gave you even a small sense of clarity or relief, consider subscribing to this channel. We're going to keep explaining these concepts. We're going to keep pulling back the curtain on how the economy really works. Because knowledge is power, and you deserve to understand the game you're playing. Thank you for watching.